yesterday was kind of a long day. It was the first day of the convention, and Chris, you mentioned there's all sorts of media. We're kind of in a fishbowl with all the various media outlets and personalities ringing the stage, if you will, or ringing the arena. Mm-hmm. We had a little bit of a commotion at the beginning on rules, but other than that, it was good, and we had some real interesting speakers, I thought.
I know that Senator Daines had said he would not be attending, but reversed that decision and is, I understand it from news reports from the Associated Press and other Montana news agencies, that Senator Daines will be joining the convention today to speak with the delegates from Montana. Has he arrived? Are you aware of his pending visit?
I have heard the same thing, and we don't go back on the floor until 5:30 our time. Mm-hmm. What I've heard is that all 12 freshman senators are going to be on stage and show their support. And I think, yes, Steve is going to walk down to the delegation, and we'll be able to see him and talk to him then.
Art, with all the commotion that's being made on the national level and your conversation with me, do conventions really matter? Because it's already a foregone conclusion that Donald Trump will be the nominee.
Well, I think they do matter because, frankly, I learned a lot yesterday that I didn't know, and I try to stay. I try to pay attention to what's going on, but it's a chance for a 4-day period to kind of test and hone messages, and also introduce people to the nominee. But I think over the next 3 days, you'll see more and more of that, and that's probably why all these candidates get a bump, especially candidates who are not that well known.
How important is the platform? I mean, everybody talks about, this plank in the Republican platform, this plank in the Republican platform. How important is the platform for the Republican Party? And how do you execute that platform beyond the convention and beyond the general election into the first 2 years before you get to the midterm elections of a presidency?
I think it's very important because it's a chance for the people to provide their principles and ideas to the candidate. Really, it's a communication link to the candidate. Now, the candidates have a chance to talk about changes, but really, it's a very bottom-up process. And my understanding is the platform passed handily. They made a few conservative tweaks to it, but it's a chance for all of the candidates, both presidential but also down ticket candidates, to get an expression of will, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so I think it is important, and frankly, it allows people 3 or 4 day period to get together from all the states to convene and to talk about what they think is important at that given time.
It's 1450 KMMS, 1340 KPRK. Art, in our last conversation, you mentioned that this is your first convention. And having attended the Democratic convention when I was working in radio in Denver, you do hit the ground running. What has been the biggest surprise, and what have you learned thus far about the convention process?
It's very well orchestrated, and it's kind of a fast-moving train, and you have to really pay attention to everything that's going on. It's somewhat scripted. But there were a couple of moments where there was some drama and people went off script. I don't know if you saw Marcus Luttrell last night, mm-hmm. where he said he was the lone survivor, and he said, he looked at the teleprompter and said, "I'm going off the script. I'm going to tell you what I think from the heart." And that was dramatic. I thought it was good, but most of it, frankly, is scripted. Although the rules dust up that occurred, that's a little unprecedented, and that created a little drama, which is actually good, I think.
Art, you are a member of the Montana delegation. You will be voting when the roll call is called to finally solidify the presumptive nominee to the nominee. What do you and the rest of the delegation from Montana hope to accomplish and impress on the Republican National Convention?
Well, we've provided a Montana voice, both as to the rules process and the platform. And frankly, it's good for us to interact with the other states. There's a lot of dialogue back and forth about what people are seeing at their various state levels. And I think that a lot of people have reservations about Donald Trump. A lot of people have embraced him fully. But I think what you'll see over the next 3 days is more and more people comfortable with him, and being in more full support of him. It's all we know is what the media tells us, and I think being able to have a little bit more in-depth knowledge and communication is best.
I have parroted as early or as recently as this morning much of what the other members of the media are saying, that this convention is the death knell for conservatism of specifically the Republican Party. Not necessarily for conservatism, but the Republican Party as we know it is being destroyed before our very eyes. Is there any truth to that, or is that just an exaggeration of the liberal media that I've parroted?
Yeah, I think that's an overstatement. Really, every convention, there's hyperbole, and people think that it's frankly bigger than it is. But, a lot of the discussions we had this week were the same as they had in 1976. So history repeats itself. There's always going to be factions. There will always be conservatives, and there will always be a Republican Party. And, having a discussion and sometimes some squabbles, I think, is healthy. It allows for a little change and movement and evolution. And so this is not the death knell of the conservative movement within the Republican Party at all. I think it's been a good, healthy exchange.
Representative Wittich, my only advice I can offer you on day 2 of the convention is sleep when you can, and don't forget to eat or drink water.
It is a little humid out here, and so it's amazing how much water you have to drink. But it's so far so good, and I'll take your advice, and I'll try to call you back, if not tomorrow, the next day.
Fantastic. I look forward to speaking with you again, hopefully tomorrow, shortly after 7 a.m.
Sounds good. Talk to you then.